One time for my birthday. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Oh no, sad twerking. What happened?
Conrad, I love How to Die Alone. This is an absolutely phenomenal show. Look, I think everybody in some way, there's something in this for everybody. And I think Mel is such a relatable character. And your guys' friendship, Rory and Mel's friendship, feels so real and lived into me. I love their friendship dynamic. Tell us a little bit about Rory and his friendship and bond with Mel.
Well, I mean, I feel like it started, you get what is on the page. But when I first met Natasha, I felt like I've known her for decades, my whole life. And funny story, because we are friends now, we found out that both of our dads are Air Force. We're Air Force brats. And she went to a high school that was only a few miles away from my high school in Florida, and we didn't even know it. So we probably crossed paths without knowing it when we were both in high school. So yeah, there is this weird, strange universe energy thing I think that was pulling us together. And so there's that. But then also, I mean, I feel like I was able to relate to Rory and Mel's friendship right away because I was that messy gay guy in my 20s and in my 30s, if I'm being honest, who was trying desperately to find love in the world, whether it was from friends or from a relationship. But not being especially in the relationship part, not being successful, and then commiserating with my girlfriends at the time of oh, guys suck. At least we have each other. And I did that for 2 solid decades. Until I just got married 2 years ago to a guy that I met the first week we started shooting this in Toronto.
Oh, it's amazing. Congratulations. That's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
That's amazing. Now, Rory is Mel's only real friend at the start of the series. How much pressure does that put on Rory, and how do we see their friendship kind of evolve from that?
Oh yeah, I think that anybody is doomed from the beginning when you don't have multiple sources of support in your life. So yeah, I think that's a time we see that unfortunately play out with Rory and Mel, that it was bound to break at some point. That the truth, that happens with friends. Again, I can relate to this, where you have great times together, you find comfort in each other, but at some point you do have to call each other out on each other's shit. You have to be like, hey, you keep making the same mistake over and over again, and I can't keep watching you do it. So here's what it is. And then your friend is then like, okay, well, if you're going to tell me the truth, then I'm going to tell you the truth about you. And whether that friendships can survive that is a true test of whether those friendships were meant to be, in my experience. And I'm hoping, I'm really rooting for Mel and Rory.
Me too. I love seeing their dynamic. And I feel like as soon as we meet them, I felt like I was instantly their friends as well. Now, I love the fact that this is kind of set at the JFK airport, because I feel like I've known a lot of friends that worked at airports. There's subcultures that go on there and little things that people just don't know about. How does that location shape Mel's experience and journey throughout the course of the series?
Well, I think it constantly makes you a little bit bitter when you are working at a place where people are traveling off to live their best lives, especially for somebody like Mel who's afraid to fly. I think that can create a sense of bitterness and a sense of dreaming about the life that you want instead of actually living the life that you want. I can imagine that people that work at the airport, the last thing they want to do is go travel back, go through an airport when that's their everyday experience. Yeah, I think that subculture can be its own little trap in itself. But I also think that there's so many interesting things to mine from that as well. And I'm now, since we shot the show, I've never been able to walk through an airport the same way again. Things that I took for granted, because when we all go to the airport, we're also in a rush, we're anxious, and now I'm like, oh, I know what's going on behind the scenes. I know what's happening at Hudson News.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's definitely opened my eyes.
Same. I travel a lot too, and I feel like this show's kind of opened my eyes to seeing like what's going on at the airport. With like at Hudson News is a great example of that. Now, something this show does really well is dive into the family dynamics, and your character Rory is not immune to that. Can you talk about his relationship with his father in the show?
Yeah, I think it's, when I was preparing for the role and thinking about Rory's circumstances of being an Asian boy adopted by a rich Upper East Side white family, I don't think that Rory's ever felt like he's belonged in this world, in the world that he grew up in. And that has strained and damaged his relationship with his adopted father, who I think loves him and wants the best for him, but doesn't understand him. And I think it's an interesting dynamic when because I have some friends that are adopted that are also were Asian people adopted by white American families that then grow up with this they realize at some point that they actually aren't white. They think because everybody around them growing up is white. And so I think that there's an interesting thing when families don't allow, their Asian kids, when adopted families don't allow their Asian kids to explore their Asian identity and don't nurture that creates a lot of confusion. I think when those kids grow up and become adults and realize, wait, I have this whole other culture that I was not exposed to, and that can create a lot of confusion and resentment.
Absolutely. Now, look, the last question I have for you is that Mel is described as someone who's forgotten how to dream. What advice would you give to people who may feel similarly in their own lives?
Oh, this is corny, but I would say there's this book called The Artist's Way that I got. I've done it probably 2 times from front to back, that really opened me up to the beauty in the world and living the life that I wanted to live. And so, journaling, putting your thoughts down on paper, and instead of just reacting to the world, becoming aware of the ways that you're reacting to the world. And then that allows you to then actually make choices on how you react. But you have to become aware of the way that you're reacting first. Hopefully it's before a piece of IKEA furniture falls on you.
Hopefully. Well, Conrad, thank you so much for your time. The show is fantastic. I can't wait for people to see it on September 13th. Thank you so much.
Joe, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
You too. Take care, Conrad.
Come on, let's go. Woman King.
Woman King.
No, say it like you mean it.
Woman King.
That's a little bit loud.
Sorry.